like, what's the word? Accessible for people to get into downhill now.
It's getting less accessible. It was very accessible. It still is kind of, but not as much now because you have this semi-final. So you don't go to the final with 60 anymore.
No.
You go in 60, then 30. So now it's pretty hard to get noticed, I would say.
That's a good point. You think they've made it, harder to get noticed, I guess.
Yeah, and harder for a privateer, like.
Yeah.
If only 30 ride in the final, then how many privateers want to line up? At the moment, this year, there's been quite a few, but I think they'll make it harder next year. I can see them making it harder because they want to make it more elite, but for me, I'm not sure if that's the best thing because I think the coolest thing on our sport is that you can be the best rider in your country. You can put your bike in a box and fly to Europe and have a go at racing the World Cup. And if you're good, then someone will help you. So this is pretty cool, like with our sport, but not many sports you can do that. Like you couldn't do that with motocross; it's too expensive.
Yeah.
And you can't fly your bike in the plane.
Can't have a pop at Formula One, can you?
No. So that was the cool thing in our sport, and then you could make it accessible to people from all around the world.
What would you say would be the ideal answer if it was like moving in that direction of like it being more elite? Because there's obviously, it's easy to talk about like the things that aren't good, but I guess making it more elite also makes it more like televisable and perhaps maybe reaches a bigger
audience.
So it could be better. There's like two sides to whatever coin you talk about. What would be the best thing to do if it was to go that way?
To have a really good feeder race series, but then how many people want to sponsor someone that doesn't ride in the top series? Like, do the other brands hang around for someone that only races in the small series? Like, I don't think so. Like, I wouldn't be rushing out to sponsor someone that doesn't race in the top tier series. Like, how many Formula 2 results, unless you're a crazy car fan, you don't follow it?
Yeah, so true.
So,
Yeah, man,
it's a hard one.
It is a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is a tough one because you're literally talking about, changing a sport and making it less accessible, which is going to limit people coming through. And it's like, what is the long game with that? There really isn't one, is there? It doesn't seem like, not that I can think of. Like, what is that? What does that look like in 5 years?
How many riders at the top now? There's quite a few that have made their way there over a long period of time. And would they have made it?
Look at Bernard.
Yeah, Bernard and Andy Kolb, perfect examples. Yeah. Would they have made it if they had to start in a lower series? It's hard to say because then they might not have had the sponsorships.
Like you say, you're going to a sponsor and asking them for help, and they're like, okay, where can I watch you?
You can't.
You can't. Okay, so what are we getting for our money? Yeah. It's like social posts and stuff. I guess it's kind of cool, but
they have to really stand out from the crowd if they're going to get sponsorship for that.
Do you know when we were younger, I feel like there was more coverage of like a broader range of races and events. So it was like the IXS rounds would get coverage in dirt or whatever, and for some reason, as we've gone on. And the sport does get bigger and it gets better coverage. It's not like results page and a picture.
No.
Like for some reason you sort of value the other ones less, and yet they're I mean, how many of those sort of races have you done in the past before doing World Cups or alongside World Cups?
I started like with a bunch of those like smaller races and then did a World Cup, so I like built up to that. Yeah. And I think that's another thing kids do now. They don't do any of those other races, and then they kind of try and just do World Cups, which is pretty demoralizing if you don't qualify. Yeah. Like if you never qualify, well then it's kind of demoralizing. And then even if you look through Bernard's results, it's taken him a long time to move up. He's got quite a few races where he missed qualifying, or he was like he wouldn't have qualified in the 60 to 80 that we miss now. Yeah. So I don't know. It takes a long time to get there for some people. And I think those stories are cooler. Like more people can get behind that. Yeah. Then, like, it is cool to watch the junior phenom that comes in and just takes over. But it's cool to see someone make their way to the top. Yeah. Like there's more of a story to tell because it's over a longer time.
Yeah, with you. I agree. I guess space for other series, like you say, Crankworx springs to mind straight
Yeah,
away.
I think Crankworx could be a real benefit. They could really benefit from this happening in this situation at the moment, but they need to like maybe make their series a bit more accessible because it's all over the world at the moment.
Yeah, it's really hard as well because they're also trying to get views, and it's like it's such a chicken and egg thing. It's almost, I sort of feel like sometimes it's like actually how we consume stuff that's changed that's made it worse. So like rather than like blaming big race organisers, it's almost like you're less willing to pay attention. Because I remember reading up on race reports on smaller races, and I didn't necessarily know everyone, but I was just hungry for like more information and find out who the next guy is or whatever. And I almost think it's like we've gone more TikTok-y, more like
Now attention span's way too short now.
Instant,
like,
boom, done.
yeah.
It's
like, how do you get around that? That's mega hard. That's a way tougher problem to crack, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
But even now with the semi-final and final, the attention span's not there for that either. So.
Well, it's kind of. I think Bernard spoke about that quite a bit. It's kind of seems obvious if you look at the views on the YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
Like people aren't tuning in for the whole thing because it's just too much.
Yeah, it's 6
hours. As a spectator, it's 6 hours. And for you, no doubt, at the races as well, not racing, you're there, it's like...
Yeah, I've got to watch it.
You're watching the whole thing.
I've got to watch it because I've got to interview people about what happened.
Yeah.
And they'll get to the final, I'm like... He was on the last rider. You used to be like peaking for the last rider. And now you're like, here we go. He won. Good. It's like, because you've been watching 6 hours of racing. And it's not the same hype, you know?
No.
But I think... surely that changes, but then you'll just go. They'll just go to 30 qualifying, and then you won't have any semi-final, and then you have your 30 riders.
Did you enjoy this clip? If so, please like and subscribe. The full episode is available by hitting one of the links on the screen right now, or type the Ride Companion into your favourite podcast app. We've even put links in the show description for you. Cheers!